Hi everyone, welcome back to the Rose Herd. If you're new here, I'm Katrina and I'm so excited to have you here with us. So the family and I recently publicly shared that we are making a big move from Virginia in the United States to Merida, Mexico. So we really wanted to share the personal decisions individually of why we decided to make that. So I sat down with each member one-on-one to really hear their thoughts and feelings about leaving the U.S. and moving to Merida and their why behind that move. So I'm going to go first. And the biggest one is I've just always wanted to live abroad, but have been afraid to really just make that big move. Anyone that knows me knows that I am a planner. I'm a big what if girl. Like, what if this will happen? Or what if this happens, especially if I'm on my own. And then, of course, timing and money just never really worked out, I really was really serious about it in the last few years, but then I got laid off right before COVID. But then I became self-employed in 2020 and I've been 100% virtual, but travel was still very limited. And even when we started to do like light travel, even like domestically, things just kept happening, like, emergency surgeries or someone got sick or, even last year, my grandmother had a hip replacement surgery. And as the youngest daughter, I am usually like the family caregiver. So that kind of put a lot of things on hold. And then, of course, finances. Moving is always a big expense, whether it's local or a different state, but internationally, even more so, especially when you don't quite know what you're doing. That's always a big factor. But since I've been, remote, and building up that business, things just started to fall into place to where it was more feasible to do so. And I was going to go on my own at first. Of course, there was still worry. But as I was talking with the family about it, mostly my mom, because we do a lot of things together, and she's always wanted to leave the U.S. as well, too. Like, she was going to come. And my sister was like, well, I'm not going to get left here by myself. So, she was like, well, I'm coming too. And my grandma, she already lives with my mom and has pretty much my entire life. So she's automatically coming if my mom comes. So that's kind of how, the Rose Herd formed, if you will. Another question that we get a lot is, why Mexico? Honestly, mostly because of its proximity to the U.S., to stay in contact with family and friends, or if we have to come back here for whatever reason, it's, right there. It's one flight, you're in the U.S. But also it's a culture that we're at least familiar with. Mexican culture is kind of ingrained in U.S. culture a lot. So I've always had Mexican friends or neighbors, always at someone's house. And, they always make you feel like family when you're there. And I've always just kind of admired that culture, even from when I was young. Like, if you read American Girl books, everyone knows Josefina. That was one of my favorite collections. And with her, her godmother, who was a curandera, like, I was obsessed with all of that. And Selena led to, A.B. Quintanilla, which is her brother, and the Cumbia Kings. And I just kind of fell in love with all of that. So yeah, that cultural connection was definitely a draw. And then, of course, the obvious reason, cost of living and quality of life. Mexico has a lower cost of living. Now, I say lower cost of living instead of cheap because it's not cheap. You can spend just as much in Mexico as you would here in the States if you choose to, but they also have lower cost options. I feel like the biggest expenses in Mexico, from what I've heard so far, is electricity and gas. So I kind of averaged it out, did the math, and it was $5.25 a gallon, which in some places in the States, people are already paying that. We live in Virginia, so that's definitely more than what we're paying. Gas is $3.39 right now, and even that's kind of a little on the high end for Virginia. So yeah, there are definitely some things that can be more expensive, but overall, the cost of things is a lot lower. Housing, food, medical care, and in a lot of ways, it's better. It's definitely better. If you saw our last video from our exploratory trip, that was something that we really discovered. My mom was like, what are we doing? We're ready to go. We're ready to go. And then as far as like quality of life, Mexico is very family oriented, which is very similar to Jamaican culture as well. It's very family oriented as well. And I love that. A lot of times, in Western culture, you grow up, you move out, and you start your own family, and you see your family on like Christmas, Thanksgiving, maybe Easter, maybe Mother's Day. And I'm like, we're not like that at all. And I love that, like, they get together like every weekend. Now, I won't be doing all of that, but but I like the idea of that. And if I had more family closer, it's definitely something that I would want to do all the time. And I love to be, around things like that. I would say another reason for me is kind of the concerns that I have about the US. Now, I don't want to get too political or anything like that, but I've always been kind of like, kind of almost like an anarchist, but not really. I just really don't like the way things are. There's that ideology of, you go to school and then you go to college and you get a good job and, you get married and you have a house and all that other stuff. And maybe you can be a stay-at-home mom and the husband goes to work. And I'm like, yeah, but policy-wise and economically, the government is not supporting that ideology. Like it doesn't work anymore. But they're trying to give that idea that it does. And it's not. I know for a lot of millennials, it's a lot harder. Some of us are already staying with their parents. And I think there's some shame to that. But in other cultures, like, you stay with your family unit when you even when you get married or, if you move out and you move into your like husband family, you're a part of like his family or whatever. But millennials are just, they're finding it hard to, like secure housing on their own, even if it's renting, not let alone like buying a house. I was fortunate enough that I was able to do so not long after graduating from college. I got my first house, kind of like a fixer-upper, and then they started to gentrify that neighborhood, and I was like, and sell it, pay off my student loans and all that other stuff, and then move into another house in a better area. So I was definitely guided financially by my mom and like others to figure out how to do that on my own. But it's just not set up that way for everyone. Things are hard, and it's getting harder, and, poverty is kind of penalized, so yeah, it's just harder. And then of course, like there's safety things. Obviously I'm a Black woman, in America. So yeah, these last few years have taken a toll mentally, with the, killings of unarmed Black people for simple things. And, it's always kind of been that way. It's just, it's being filmed now. Other people can see it, which is like a double-edged sword. Like, yay, people see it. Like, this is what we've been talking about. But also now you see it all the time. Like, it starts to wear on you. And other countries are like, we don't have this. People are not having guns in their homes or like, shooting up schools or, that type of thing. And I'm kind of over it. So, taking the advice of the opposition, if you will, they're like, if you don't like it, leave. And so I'm bet we're leaving now. And, that's okay. Like I said, I've been wanting to leave for a while. Things are finally aligning. I don't know what this upcoming election is going to bring. We've been watching it. I don't know if Kamala is going to win, but Mexico just elected their first female president. So I'm going to go hang out with them for a while and, just keep eyes on what's happening in the U.S. I don't know if I'll ever come back to the States. I don't know if I'm going to stay in Mexico permanently or move on to another country, but that's part of the adventure. We just get to see what's going to happen. We're not tied down to a mortgage or anything like that. We'll be renting and just kind of seeing what life is going to be all about. I'm looking forward to that slower pace of life, having more time with my family, being able to travel more as well. And I just look forward to everything that Mexico has to bring. But now we're going to see what the rest of the family has to say and how they're feeling about our move to Merida. So let's go. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey,
How are you?
okay.
I just wanted to talk to you about why you decided you wanted to move to Mexico.
Apart from a change of climate, I went down there on vacation and I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it
So much I want to go back. Well, yes.
Okay. So I know a lot of people be like, well, you're 88 years old. Why would you pack up your life and move abroad now at this point in your life?
Well, I'm not going by myself. I'm going with my family. If I was alone, I'll probably stay here. But I'm living with my family and they're moving and I want to go experience the move just the same.
Okay. So what are you looking forward to? Like either your top thing or your top three things that you're looking forward to experience or to do?
To learn the language, number one, try and learn the language. And just meet with the people, just to be. It's a different culture, it's a different experience. So it's just a different experience.
Right. So you've immigrated before. You immigrated to the United States in the 70s.
Yes.
And now you're immigrating again to another country. So as someone that's immigrated before, do you have any fears about immigrating to a new country based on what you experienced when you came to the US?
No, when I came to the US, I was actually alone. Even though I have a sister here, but I was actually alone.
Right.
No, I have a family, so it's a big difference. So, big difference.
So that's the main thing, is you're not afraid because you're not alone.
You know, when I came here first, I wasn't really afraid. It was just get used to the subways and the people. You know, you come from Jamaica. Oh, yes. My first experience is when I come out the hotel without the coat and I just step outside. And the guy like, no. Because I just left sunshine nice and warm and I thought the sunshine here would be just as warm.
Never heard of cold sun, huh?
Never heard of cold sun. And I experienced quite a few blizzards and...
Yeah. Well, now Merida is going through a heat wave, so the opposite of sun. How do you think you're going to be able to handle that heat?
Stay inside. Stay inside during the day and travel out at night and see what's going on.
Or early morning.
Or early mornings.
Maybe you don't get up before 10.
Well, down there I will. If I have something to do and a purpose to get up, I'll get up. I used to go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That is true. Back in the day. Okay. Is there anything that you want to learn?
Apart from the language?
Culture?
Apart from the
food or anything when we, there in Merida?
Yeah, everything.
Everything?
I want to just enjoy whatever they have to offer. Whatever the country have to offer, I want to get into it as much as I can.
Okay.
As long as this leg will just allow me to do.
That's true. And what are you going to miss most about the United States?
My baby.
Your baby, leaving behind your 2 sons and all of your other grandkids. Me and my sister. So we're driving from Virginia to Merida, Mexico. What are you looking forward to about that very long trip, and what are you least looking forward to?
I know it's summer now, but the scenery, because sometimes we have some really good sceneries driving. You can enjoy sceneries.
And what are you least looking forward to about the long drive?
and sit.
Sitting down. Sitting down.
But we get break, I'll get used to it.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the people?
Oh, I miss the snow.
Okay. I was thinking more specifically, what about the people who are thinking about leaving the U.S. but are afraid to do so or aren't quite ready? What would you say to
Something?
them?
You just have to take a chance. Like I say, take a chance on life. Just, if you feel like do it, just do it. And
Alrighty.
yeah,
That's it. Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, y'all. So today we're here with my mom, and then we're just gonna go through, talking about, why she decided that she wanted to make this move to Mexico. So that's what we're gonna start with. The big question is why? Why are you doing this?
So I've been asked this question I think recently, as a matter of fact, and I was told this was crazy idea to move. And as I've been thinking about this over the past few months as to my why, and there have been so many things that have happened, within the past year that has said to me, this is something that I definitely need to do. Between personal health issues, friends dying, and just the whole like work life craziness where I feel like all I'm doing is just spinning my wheels. And Pastor had an analogy yesterday. It's like being in a rocking chair where you're just rocking and you're putting in the work, but you're not getting anywhere. And so I feel like at this stage in my life where I have overcome so many different things and I've cheated death, and I was just like, I need to live and live the life that I want to live and not just keep grinding over and over again. And so for me, that's kind of the impetus for why I want to go.
If y'all see this camera shaking, just know it's bugs out here and it's me flying. So you're talking about like, changing your life and, living better. Some people would say, well, there are lower cost areas, in the US that you could move to. But why specifically Mexico? Like, it's such a big life change and cultural change.
I mean, I've had life changes before. I've moved, being a soldier. I've been overseas to countries I didn't speak the language. I had no choice in those matters. Either there was like, oh, this is where you're going. Right. But I've had this opportunity to be a part of it, to kind of help plan, and we have these discussions and we've researched and we've done all this other stuff. Whereas before there was just like, here are your orders, this is where you're going. And I was there, I was not prepared for language, I wasn't prepared for culture, I wasn't prepared for anything. We just showed up and not knowing what to expect when you got there, other than you're here now for 1, 2, 3 years, you're just there. And you had to, drop on the ground and learn. Whereas I've had this opportunity to plan. Whereas before I didn't have that option. So, right. That kind of life is just as crazy.
So those countries, so you've lived in South Korea, you lived in Germany, but also I'd say more importantly, being from Jamaica, this is not your first time immigrating because you had to immigrate to the U.S. So I know your story and things that happened like coming here, but based on those experiences that you had immigrating to the U.S., are there any fears that you have with immigrating to Mexico?
Again, just like being that soldier, when I came here, I didn't know where we were going. I didn't even know we were leaving Jamaica when I came here. My father said, let's get in the car. We drove to the airport and we walked in this terminal. We had no idea where we're going. We had no idea what was going on. Again, I think having some control over where I'm going, where I'm going to be, what I'm going to be doing, the planning part of this and being actually,
Gonna be there?
yeah, who was going to be there? I mean, I had nothing. I wasn't prepared for the weather, the culture, the language, the foods, none of those things. And I think this is a whole lot better. I'm adult now, and so a lot more prepared than I was ever in all of my other international travels and living.
Right. And aside from like that, like the planning, but so when I say like fears, I would say, some of the stories that you've told of like how you were treated when you immigrated here, like fears of those things by, the locals, the native people. I think especially again immigrating, even though we're, people of color, we're Black people and we're going to a nation that's mostly people of color, but also it's a lot of European based Spanish Mexicans as well too.
So I think you have to learn to get along. I mean, when I came here, even though I was a person of color, I was told, get back on that banana boat, go back to Africa, do all these things. I was like, I had never been to Africa. People tell me that I used to live in a hut, and I was like, no, I lived in a hut, in a house with running water.
In a house, try again.
And it was all these different things telling me I was coming to steal their jobs. I was 13. I was like, I wasn't taking anybody's job, so it was those things. And so I really don't have cultural fears. I get along with a lot of different cultures, and I think because I had someone tell me today at work that because of my caring nature and how I relate to people tend to, because I want to help people. I don't think that would be an issue because I go in with the heart of the people, and I think people will sense that this is not about me coming to colonize, but I'm coming to live a life. So that's
okay. That's a good one. So what are you wanting to learn about either like Mexican culture, heritage, art, food, or even specifically Meridian culture, heritage, art, food, history?
I would say all of it. I want to learn the culture, learn a little bit about the history, learning a little bit about the place now, learning the language, per se, having to have that opportunity to figure out that my tongue is getting a little bit looser and I can roll my R's. And again, so getting a lot better with that. So again, getting to know the language a little bit better, be able to communicate with the people, begin to learn about the people where I'm not just a visitor in their country, but I'm trying to be a part of and hopefully enhance the neighborhood or wherever community that I'm in. So I'm all about learning about people.
Okay. What are your hopes or like expectations for this move?
For me, I would say a slower pace. I've had a lot of business acumen, things I've started, but because of the work that I do, time is just never there. And I really want to be able to focus in this latter half of my life, begin to actually do the things that I wanted to do. Do more speaking, get my writings out there, became a life coach, being able to actually do that and have the time to do it and not, getting off work at 6:30, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8:45, working those days. And I'm like, okay, all I want to do now is go to bed. And so to really have that time to focus in on the things that I know that I've been called to do. So that's what I want to accomplish and rest. I've just been going the last 13 years, 14 years have been like really rough. And so I just really want to take that first few months to kind of just release some of that stuff. And then basically now hit the ground running with, what I know that I want to do. So.
Okay. So this was a previously asked question, but we're driving
Yes.
from Richmond, Virginia to Merida, Mexico. It's going to be about 7 days because we're going to take our time. What are you looking forward to about that drive? And
Road trip, road trip, road trip, road trip.
We do road trips, but I mean the longest was what, Virginia to Texas or New Jersey to Oklahoma. This is about double that.
Yeah,
It's
I'm at the same kind of road though. A straight road of nothingness.
95 to the I-10 to whatever that highway in Mexico is that gets you down there.
Yeah. So I think we've always bonded as a family, and I'm hoping that we don't get on all our nerves at all the estrogens and all that other stuff.
Plus dogs. We got 3 dogs.
Yes, in a vehicle on a long road, me, I'm probably going to go to sleep for if I'm not driving, I'm sleeping. So that's part of what is going to happen. I got this brain teaser book that I've had for a while. I may actually get some of that brain teasing done and listen to music. I may write some. Just I think it's just be an opportunity just to kind of. Yes, the drive is going to be there, but I think take that time to see part of America that I have not seen. And driving to Mexico, that's going to be another adventure, but I'm up for the challenge.
Right. Okay. So we're about to close out. I want to ask you, what would you say to someone who wants to live abroad but is afraid to take that step?
Do it. Make sure. I know I've seen where others have just I'm packing up my kids and I'm just I'm hitting the road, no plans, no nothing, and they've been, some of them are doing well. I said take that opportunity to do it. You only live once, and so I would say if you have a chance to do something like this, I would say do it. Even if you fail, at least you did it. And so I think it was just a good opportunity for you to do it. And you can say, you can put on your bragging rights, I took a chance and I lived.
Okay. That's it.
That's it.
So we're here today with my sister, Kendra. Hey girl, hey. Hey girl, hey. So we're actually in Merida right now. Just having a little visit, but I wanted to sit with you and kind of get your thoughts on, about our move to Merida. We're going to start with your why. As soon as our little friend, our 4-legged friend next door shows out, but probably not going to happen. So yeah, let's start with that question. Why did you decide to hop on this bandwagon, if you will, and move to Mexico?
So I've talked to people about this too, and I think for the biggest thing is America's not great. And I'm going to say that America is the best country in the world, and realistically, it's not. Politically, economically, socioeconomically, physical infrastructure, healthcare infrastructure, it's not great for people who are like us, people who are women, who are Black. It is not going to get better for us. It's gotten better than what it was, 300-400 years ago, but we're moving in a backwards direction. And I'm at the place in life where I don't want to spend the rest of my life working. I don't want to be stuck in this living to work lifestyle. I make almost twice as much, almost a little more than twice as much what I made 10 years ago when I moved to Virginia. And realistically, the way the economy has moved, I'm still kind of in a similar place, which is wild when you really think about it, that I make a livable wage. And we're, people who make a livable
Still
wage.
feel like you're not living.
Yeah, we're surviving. We do. And so, we're a family of immigrants. So us being able to move all together, for me, it makes the move a whole lot easier to do. When I sold my home last year, I didn't think this is where we'd be, but I'm definitely glad this is where we are.
Okay. And you were talking about that leaving, and it kind of made me think of you see a lot of comments when people were saying oh, America's not that great anymore, and they're always well go and leave then, or whatever, and you're like, but I am though. I was I'm working on it. Obviously, I respond back to them sometimes if I got time. If I was if I'm scrolling social media, that means I have time. to respond. But also, I think coming from a veteran standpoint as well, like you were in the military, mommy was in the military as well. So it's like, someone that has served, to protect this country, and you're like, and now you're looking at it and you're like, it's kind of trash here. So how does that like make you feel like you spent, some years of your life to protect this country, but now you're like, I want out?
Generally, I would say indifferent. I know when I talk to people who are also veterans, people who, they've done their time and they've got some of that retirement money, spent that, and their thought is, well, I never thought about that. I want to leave too. We spent that time and we dedicated that time. We've gotten some of the benefits from it. I enlisted to go to college debt free, and I did that. And I will not trade it for anything or any people that I met along that journey. But, it takes all those skills that I have learned, that survivalship, that being able to embrace the suck, the heat, the humidity, the weather, understanding and embracing quick, fast change, being flexible and adjustable. A lot of that comes with, coming into a different country.
Yeah. I love how you always say that. That's something that I've learned, even from like you guys. Like I did not serve. I was like, I'm gonna go to college. I'm just gonna go straight pipeline. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But yeah, that phrase, embrace the suck. I feel like that's something that we've already been doing. Like if you live here, you've already been embracing the suck. And so, as we've been here, driving around, and it's dogs on the road, and they're potholes. People are like, oh, it's hot, and I don't like the food. Like, what do you have to say about that? Like those comments that we see on Facebook. And
you don't like the food, make your own food. But the food is, you came to a different country. You'll either embrace the food that's to you or feed yourself. Go to the American restaurants. Burger King is here, KFC is here, Pizza Hut, TGI Friday. You don't have to go to, sopa. You don't have to eat sopes and tacos and tamales. Eat what you know. If that's really how you feel. And we lived in Texas and being in Jamaica as well, too. The weather's definitely very similar. The dogs in the street, my only worry is with my own dogs and having to actually walk them and hoping that nothing happens. But it's not too much of a fear that I presently have yet, but it's definitely something to take into consideration as I'm preparing for the move.
And so backing a little bit, so taking into that and your why of like leaving the U.S. Why Mexico and why Merida?
So Merida, Mexico's big, but Mexico, I guess, that understanding, it's really close. It's close by. It's a language that we have been understanding and listening to. It's a food and a culture that we are familiar with. And then the U.S. to peso exchange rate. Ooh, the full to me. The U.S. to peso exchange rate is, it's really good to be able to come down here, start my own business, get paid in USD. And so even to make what I'm making now, even, hourly, and to make that, and to, that exchange of pesos, being a peso economy, is much more than a livable wage, more than a survivable wage. I can have a lifestyle that I really want to have, which is more than just, I think I got the money for this.
Right. Okay. So, we're here a little bit now for a while, so maybe some of your questions have been answered already. But what is something about Mexican and or Mayan culture that you want to learn?
Language is always going to be the biggest one for me, as I am still learning Spanish. And being able to really be immersed in the culture and being able to talk to the people that are here, like in the grocery store, in the restaurant, is really good practice for me to work on what it is I'm saying. Being able to slow down and talk. I talk really fast in English.
Very fast in English.
And I can't do that in Spanish because I stumble, over some of my words in English. So really able to slow down, take my time, being able to practice and recognize, words that I do know, working on context, and to being able to really embrace the culture. When we went out to eat, and just that understanding of no one's rushing you to get up from the table, be able to just sit and enjoy your time in the restaurant, enjoy the company.
I was like, they call it sobremesa, like just sitting around the table and relaxing. And I was like, when we were sitting there, I was like, when can they go? And I was like, if you want the check, you gotta ask for it because they're not coming to you. they'll come and clean and be like, hey, do you want anything else? But the only time they're going to tell you to leave is if they want you to leave. You know what I mean? If you're being that loud foreigner and you're drunk or being, overly disruptive or rude or whatever, it may ask you to leave then, but no one's just going to put you out. Like paying customers, you're sitting there like, because they know the more you keep eating, the more you're going to keep drinking and spending money, and just like disfruta la vida, like enjoy your life.
That's what we've been doing while we've been here.
Yeah.
Enjoying life, taking it slow, being able to sleep in.
Kind of. We ain't really been sleeping in, except for today.
I mean, sleeping in, my alarm goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning, and sleeping in is anything past 7:30 in the morning.
Not for me, but I'm self-employed. Yeah, so, and I love that for y'all. Okay, so do you have any fears about moving to Mexico?
My biggest thing is really just my business, because I work so much back home. Being able to have that time to really get things set up and settled. I know you're going to help me with. I'm really excited and grateful for it. But that's what I think my biggest fear is, just wanting to make sure that my business is successful. That I don't run through the money that I will have saved and set aside before I can start really building a good personal income with my own business.
Okay. So just making sure you don't run out of money, but you don't have any like cultural or like safety fears or anything like that.
I mean, I've spent a lot of time in my early 20s just like traveling, hopping on a plane, hopping on a bus, driving in a car around the country by myself, unarmed and alone, before technology was really, really good. People knew where you were at.
Right.
And so language-wise, I mean, again, technology really helps a whole lot with that. One thing that I really noticed about people that we've encountered here is people do speak a little bit of English, and the ones that don't, they're willing to work with you, to communicate. I speak enough Spanish to be able to survive and get around, and we're together. So that always makes a really big deal.
Yeah. What's something that you're looking forward to, like after we move here?
These cheap prices on everything.
Affordable.
These cheaper prices, more affordable prices on everything. Last night, I was talking to somebody on the phone last night while we went to Fridays, and for, 4 people, and 4 sodas, and 2 alcoholic drinks, to spend $88 before the tip. It's really big.
Yeah.
That's really big, because that never would have happened back home.
And it's only $88 because it's Friday, which is an American brand. I keep saying it in all these videos that I've been around. If it's imported, you're going to pay that imported price.
No, we went to Sope's Watch.
Watch? Yeah.
And that was
not a lot.
We spent maybe $40 between the 4 of us, if that. Probably less than that.
I think a little bit less than that for 4 entrees and 4 drinks.
Right. But we had sopes, and people had a sope, and the small sope, and the flauta, and the drink.
Yeah, all that. So, yeah, that's true. But aside like from prices, I mean like lifestyle-wise, what is it something that you're looking forward to? What do you hope to be the outcome of this move?
Being able to slow down, being able to get the rest that I need, being able to improve my overall health, not being so, I don't know, I guess we'll go stressed. Like, I like my job, I enjoy my job, but there are definitely some days and some moments where I would really like to be able to slow down. That's not always an option. I'm being able to be on my own time, set my own limits for things, as well too.
Okay. Y'all, we're probably gonna have to move this inside because it's starting to get a little drippity droppity out here. So we're gonna finish this inside. All right, now we made it inside. So you might hear a little hammering. They're doing construction on this Airbnb, like next door and on the roof. So apologize for the noise. So we were talking about lifestyle changes, like what you're hoping the outcome of this move will be.
So I said before, being able to really focus on my health, being able to slow down. I like definitely a lot of go. Most of my days spent at work. So I spend maybe 5 waking hours a day. Maybe a little more if I stay up late at night. A day at home, and it's not a whole lot. That includes the morning and at night before and after work. and really being able to refocus on what it's supposed to be about, which is more than just work.
Right. Okay. And so one that I mentioned earlier in this video is that we are driving from Richmond, Virginia to Merida, Mexico. What are you looking forward to about that drive? And what are you not looking forward to about this drive?
I'm looking forward to seeing all of the things. I've done the drive from Richmond all the way to San Antonio before, a couple times. And so being able to that San Antonio down to Mexico and being able to see everything, some completely different landscapes, completely different, just a view. I know it's going to be beautiful, which I'm really looking forward to. And what I'm not looking forward to is being trapped in the car every single day, potentially a whole work day, for like a week.
Yeah.
But it's going to work out.
Well, one of them days we staying longer. You know, just in Matahuala, we're going to spend the night, and then we're going to spend the next full day there for a week. So, and then we'll, be going on from there. But yeah, a week in the car isn't ideal, but the cost of flight is off.
Absolutely.
Girl.
Alright, so I'm looking forward to seeing all of the landscape, the views, all the pretty views. But definitely being in the car is just really like the hard part. And I love most of the driving, which is fine. It's fine. So I think really just those two things, being stuck in the car. I don't enjoy sitting down and still for too long.
She's talking about doing most of the driving. I was like, yes, but I mean, Mom will be driving as well too. But yeah, she was probably doing a lot of driving. Everyone has roles in their family. That's yours.
Yeah. Driving, manual labor. I'm okay with that.
That's not me. I'm the visionary. I plan, I organize, I figure out the cost, I make family dinner, and stuff like that. Let everyone know what they're supposed to be and how much it's gonna cost. And then you be there.
I'm okay with that.
And my mom helps me get things together, Kendra does the heavy lifting, and grandma's along for the ride. Which we also love that she's having her little siesta back there with her foot up and stuff under the fan, looking right at it, looking so cute. But yeah, what are your other thoughts about Mexico, about Merida? Now that we've been here like 4 days on this trip, what are your personal thoughts on it?
It's giving Jamaica for big just Jamaica non-tourist area vibes, which I like. And one of these, like being in Virginia Beach and not liking all of the tourists here, being able to just be amongst the people. I don't mind, some of the early mornings and the windows and the humidity is not terrible. It's definitely giving dress season. I don't mind it. And so I think the weather's been one of the biggest things to really adjust to. Being in Richmond, we're definitely more central, and so a lot of that humidity is definitely very different. When I lived in Texas, it was more central, and so that has been the biggest change for me. But my hair is adaptable. I'm adaptable, and so I think that's one of the big things. And then adjusting to the language. I hear and understand a whole lot better than I speak. And so being able to build that confidence and speaking again, from being conscious, being submerged into the environment, being submerged into the culture as well too. So that I'm looking forward to, but also I was kind of nervous and anxious about as well too.
And what would you say to someone who's in the States or Canada or somewhere else that wants to leave where they are? Maybe they're tired of embracing the suck where they are, and they want to move to Mexico, but they're kind of either afraid to take that step or aren't quite ready yet. Like, what would you say to them?
First thing first, always do your research. That's online research, Facebook research, YouTube research, hopping on a plane research. Because what you may see online and what you experience in person may not always be necessarily what you're looking for. The world is so much bigger than America, so much bigger than what America has to offer. There are people who are moving away all the time to Mexico, to Asia, And especially those two really big weeks in Latin America, as a whole, realistically, from what we've been seeing online, what I've talked to, research, do your research, figure out what works for you, and don't let the people who have been nowhere and are not willing to try and do the footwork for themselves to dictate how you feel. I feel other people's opinions. 3 points to the basket.
You gotta put the bird lay up. Okay, and you also said something that I just want to touch on. You're talking about like what you see on videos and then on land. So, we've been through YouTube rabbit hole of videos specifically for Merida and for Mexico as a whole. But now that you're in boots on the ground, like, okay, so I was saying when you were like, YouTube videos that you had watched and, having boots on the ground and part of that planning session. So, we've gone through the rabbit hole of YouTube with videos of Merida and Mexico as a whole. And we've been to Mexico before. We were in Cancun and Isla Mujeres, but, that's very important to see it done up and all the other stuff. But now you're in Merida. You're boots on the ground because we're going to keep these military races going. Like, now that you're boots on the ground and you're seeing it and you're feeling it and smelling it for the first time, like, how does it compare?
I would love to say some of the videos that only have to prepare. We talked about the heat, we talked about the humidity, we talked about the rain. Oh, the rain hasn't been as bad as I thought it was going to be when we were looking at the weather, we were looking at the videos of all of the flooding. The rain has come, but it's been really intermittent. We've seen some of the flooding, we've seen why it's been flooding. But it definitely has to repair for just the approaching weather and the things that we've seen. The snow part hasn't been that bad. Aside from that one time when the dump truck rolled by and
through the water and all the water fell out.
Yeah, a little sewage juice relief. But aside from that, I mean, I've been happy and looking forward to coming back. I gotta figuring out where we're gonna land.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be figuring that out soon, within the next couple of months. Alright. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap this up?
Biggest thing, don't let the fear of other people's opinions deter you. Figure out your why. So if you don't know why, and you don't have that firmly within you, just like you're doing anything else, it's not gonna stick. It's not gonna stay. Plan and prepare. While I know we've been having with me for the past 6 months, and in my mind, I've been counting down. But there's been days at work where people drive me absolutely crazy, and I'd be like 4 more months, 5 more months. We're down to 3.5 months. And while it's always continued to, be in my mind, the closer it gets, it comes that bigger reminder of what we have left that needs to get done. While there's a timeline on it and some stuff, it only happens as the timeline progresses.
Yep.
Just make sure you're mindful of your timelines as well too.
Yeah. Definitely take the time to plan, for sure. You've seen the videos, people like, oh, we left everything behind. We packed like 2 suitcases and got on a plane. I'm like, oh,
Cannot be a.
yeah.
No. How we operate.
Not at all. Oh. Well, thank you so much for being here with me. And that's all.